Okay, so this is zone 1, if you like, the driving comfort zone. What we've tried to do is keep it basically as comfortable and as clear as possible, but also so that it gives us the maximum amount of information and ease of use. So starting off with the two doors, in the door pockets, one of the things we did was we put 3 water bottles in, just standard ones from the supermarket. And the idea basically is when we were driving, as soon as we basically got aboard, we sort of set ourselves the target of emptying these, drinking these before lunch. Then at lunchtime we'd refill them from the fresh water on board and then drink them again. So it didn't meet our full requirements, but this was basically about 1.5 litres in the morning, 1.5 litres in the afternoon. So that was quite a good way of monitoring and making sure that we had a little regime going with regard to dehydration and keeping ourselves in good health. Also in the doors, just basic stuff, so tyre pressure gauge, tyre deflator, also hand gel. We keep little bottles of the antibacterial hand gel in each of the door pockets and in the net pockets, again just to try and maintain our health, keep ourselves healthy and clean while we're travelling. Whenever we went to the toilet, whenever we went anywhere at all, basically we would just wash our hands with the bacterial gel afterwards. Okay, so coming on board, first thing to point out is I've replaced the seats with Range Rover seats. They're electric, give me a good range of movement whilst I'm going along, which I find over a long period of time that you know, just a slight movement in the seat is enough to keep the comfort going. Standard Discovery fittings. What I've also got built in, if we look at communications first of all, up here we have the VHF UHF radio, and up here mounted in the mat pockets we've got a standard CB radio. iPhone, which is plugged in and charging all the time, is linked through via Bluetooth to the Kenwood hi-fi unit. Now this unit I chose specifically. Basically what I have is an old iPod I got off eBay with all the record collection on it, which is just in the glove box, and it's plumbed through to the back of this, and this operates just as an iPod controller. So we've got somewhere in the region of 20 gigabytes of music available to us as we're driving along. But also it's a Bluetooth set, so I can actually play music from the phone onto the through the speakers of the system. But also just here, which you may not be able to see, is the microphone, and it becomes a hands-free phone set as well. So good communications all built in there. One of the other things we also set up was, if I just move this out of the way for a moment, I'll explain what that is, was at the back here was a series of nets where we keep the rough guides, map books, phrase books, etc. In the back of the seats are also the European Atlas and any other assorted atlases, etc. that we think we need. Down here, a sweetie store, nice and ideal, but also there's another little cubby hole, and we've got more map pockets behind the thing. What this is my camera bag, which fits very neatly in there, and what it means is that at any time I can pull this out and I've got direct access to my camera, or alternative, of course, Belinda has, to be able to take any pictures of anything that we need, and then as soon as we want to, it can just drop straight back in, lid over. It's not too obvious, but quite often we'll throw a cover over there if we're not actually going to take the bag out. But really quite a useful place to be able to have your camera without it sitting on your lap and basically getting in the way all the time. The other thing we did find very useful, one of these, a sort of a stuffy, chucky, cushy, whatever thing. I actually found this incredibly comfortable to sleep on in Santander docks while I was waiting for the ferry to come home. Belinda often finds it nice on a journey to just snuggle up and be able to put it there. So again, really quite a nice thing that just floats around, certainly not going to hurt you if in an accident or anything, and that just sort of floats around, and we found to be quite a useful little addition. Okay, navigation wise, silver compass, which took an awful lot of calibration because there's a lot of metal around here. To get that accurate took a lot of doing, but that is about the best place for it, and it does seem to give an accurate bearing of where we're travelling. Garmin Street Pilot 7200, same as the model that was used for the G4 Challenge, but a nice big 7-inch screen. I made this little bracket out of some aluminium, and the big advantage of having it here is that I can still see all the controls. It's exactly the right length to just be able to see and operate, but also with a flick of the switch it'll swing round so that Belinda can navigate using it or just view it. So it's quite handy. Engine monitoring. Now, if you've read any of the stories, and you'll know that we had a lot of trouble with overheating in Morocco. So one of the things I really wanted to keep on top of was water levels and temperature. So one of the first things plugged in, again you may not be able to see it from there, is the water level indicator, which alarms each time you switch the engine on to tell me it's functioning, and as soon as the water level drops, that light will go off. In addition to the standard fuel gauge and temperature gauge, which is pretty useless on the car, I've also plumbed in down here the exhaust gas temperature gauge, which allows me to monitor just how much load I'm really putting on the engine, how much fuel I'm pumping in. And I was using it extensively up and down the hills to keep the engine temperature, the exhaust gas temperature, down below 700 degrees, so I knew I wasn't going to give any damage to the turbo. Next to that is an accurate water temperature gauge, far more accurate than the one built into the dashboard, and again it allows me to monitor the cooling temperature. Next to that, more important in some ways than the water temperature, is oil temperature. This gives a real indication of the temperature of the engine. Water temperature, if you lose your water, the water temperature gauge would actually indicate a drop, but the oil temperature gauge would show an increase as the engine goes up. So that one quite critical. And finally, oil pressure. To me, as an ex-engineer, knowing what's going on inside the engine is absolutely critical. The only way you can do that is a series of gauges. They are set to alarm off at various temperatures, and there is an article that explains how I fitted them and everything. So just going through the remainder of the cockpit here, Carling switches here operate the outer and inner front work lights, roof lights which are aimed down to look for dips and prevent shadows when driving off-road at night, and also the rear work light, which is also wired to operate on the reverse light switch. So when they come on, the two rear work lights flood the back with light. Cup holders, don't underestimate how critical cup holders are, ideal for sweeties and, funnily enough, for holding drinks as well, so we use them a lot for that. Video wise, this is quite a substantial video mount here. This is the GoPro camera mounted. I'm actually filming this using the Kodak Playsport. This one, what I found was that the suction mounts that you can get for the Playsport and for the GoPro that come with the GoPro, because of the rake of the windscreen on here, you have to have such a long extension on them, you get a lot of vibration. So this one is quite a professional suction mount. You actually pump it up on the side and it's absolutely solid. You could hang off that. Again, very, very good. What else do we have in here? One really useful thing we found, which we got actually just from Halfords, were these sunglasses holders, which just a clip and they come off. You can use them one-handed, just to put your sunglasses back in. Very, very useful, quite a cheap little thing. Once again, proper little place for everything. The roof, we have a net. Up here we put the CB microphone is in there, also spare sunglasses, the buffs, and anything really quite light that we want to access all the time. And that just about sums up the front end of the car.